Right, how's it going, guys? Welcome back to another video. I just wanted to finish off where I started in my last video. This is part 2 of my houseplant tour. I've just finished filming it, so I got everything in. I was worried that it was going to need to be a part 3, but I've managed to fit it all in. It's going to be a super long video, which I absolutely love watching long videos of people's houseplant tours and talking about their plants and just relaxed, slow-paced video talking about plants. That's what I like. But I hope you guys enjoy. You'll notice that a lot of my plants are new, and I don't have many of my old original plants, which I'm sat in that thought right now, thinking that it feels weird because my journey with the plants across the last couple of years has been insane. Insane used very loosely. um, but yeah, you're going to see all my plants. I've got a lot. I'm really excited for some of them. You'll see my cacti, my winter hardy cacti that I've got. I've kept them indoors this year because they're really young, but I'm really excited to see how they grow this year outside when I take them out. Yeah, so I've got loads of plants. I'm going to do another video after this on my vegetables because I've got loads of seedlings going, and I've realised I haven't done one video on them yet, and they've grown like crazy. Well, crazy like this. But yeah, I'll do that after this as well. So I hope you guys enjoy. And I have redecorated my living room so I can finally start doing videos and not feel embarrassed about it. Yeah, cool. So enjoy, and I'll chat to you in a second. Right, so in this corner I have just a couple of aglonemas. This one is Aglonema silver lance. And this one I've had for maybe 2.5 years, and it's just got really big. It was really small when I first got it, and I just let it dry out pretty much fully in between water, and it does really, really well. And then I've got this Agloneria. I've had this one a little less time than that one, but maybe half a year. And these do really well in low light, so I just had these in the darker corners of my room, and that one's doing really well. So far, no pests, but I've been spraying them with SB every now and again. I'll just take them into the bath and absolutely drench them, and that seems to work really well. So they're doing really well. And then I've got I got some new pets a while ago, and they're just in there. But I'll show you a close up. So you can see them just in there. They're just leaf bugs, but if I just touch them a little bit, you might move. And you can see there's two there, one there, and then there's the male is just behind, but I don't want to disturb them too much. They basically just sit there and eat the bramble leaves, so very low maintenance, and I think they're really cool because they look like plants. So there's a quick view on those. Right, and then in this corner I have, this is a pretty new plant to me. It's called a Corpuscularia. I did just have to check the name again on my eBay. It's slightly underwatered, but this is a variegated variety. And when these are looking super healthy, they're so like geometric, and they just look really interesting. So I got one of those. I'm probably going to prune off this stem, maybe try and propagate it, but before I do that, I'm going to make sure I get the water in proper. But it's just really interesting, and I think some people call this Adelosperma, so I don't know the history of this, whether it has been reclassified or anything, but the flower looks very much like a Adelosperma flower too. This hasn't flowered with me yet, but when it does, I'll definitely try and take a picture. Then I have one of my Scheffleras. I just got this from B&Q. I just really loved the color of the variegation. Let me try and hold it still. It's just a really yellowy variegation. Well, no, this is the more white variegation actually. It looks quite yellow here, but I'll show you. I bought a second one at the same time because there was 2 types of variegation that I really liked. I think this was about between £7 and £10. It came with the pot, I believe. Yeah, and I really like those. If you do have a Schefflera though, you need to be really careful that it doesn't get thrips. So I just keep a really close eye on it because a lot of Scheffleras do get shipped with thrips. which you definitely want to avoid. Also, I'm going to probably try to rotate this because one side's going to get very bare if I keep it just facing that way. So I'll probably put it back facing the wall, which is going to look really weird as well. But it will sort itself out. And then I have this little chlorophyton propagation. This is from one of my friends from her plant, and it's growing really well. And this is like the first time I've been able to keep a chlorophyton alive properly. But it's doing good. He's got no drainage and he's just in like Lacusa pond, but he's doing well so far, so all good. Let me grab one other plant. I got this for my birthday the other day from my brother and sister-in-law. And this is a Ficus Elastica Ruby. So it's very similar to my Tineki that I've got in the hallway, which I'll show you in a bit, but this has pink variegation, whereas my other one has like bright yellow variegation. So this is really cool. I'm happy with this. I'm probably gonna, I might change the plastic part to slightly different size so it fits inside this part that they got with it. But I just think that's really pretty. I don't know how well you can see the camera. Yeah, it's got lovely pink variegation, and it goes perfect with this room, with the color of the walls. So it's literally nearly the same. So I'm really happy with that. I don't know where it's going to live yet. At the moment, it's just on the coffee table. Right, and here is my, I know in the last video I showed a Scindapsus pictus and I said that I thought it was my original one. I don't know what I was thinking because this is my original one. This is the one that I've had since like one of my first plant hauls. And it's doing all right. There's been a lot of times where I've let it get too dry, so it's kind of lost its bulk of its foliage, but it's just in this really small pot, and it's doing pretty well. Like it looks all right. It's a bit dirty. There's a few dirty leaves, but yeah, it's pretty long. So, but there's a lot of new growth coming out the top. Now that I've started watering it properly, who would have thought it started to actually grow a bit? So I don't know if I like the look of it like that because it's kind of looks a bit gappy, but I don't know what I'll decide to do. I'm thinking either I'll chop it pretty hard and let it grow back, or I'll just leave it and maybe move it to a different place because we are going to put shelves up here, so I could probably have it on a shelf. It might look a bit better. Right, so this is actually a part of my house I don't think you've ever seen before. Like you might have seen that little window over here, but this is basically where my front door is. And this is my Ficus teneki. If you guys remember from a long time ago, it was a single stem that came up. I can't see if I'm even in screen, but it came up. It was about a meter, just over a meter tall. And we had like one really bad winter and we didn't put the heating on barely at all. And it was right in this corner and it really hated it. And the leaves kind of all drooped. And I was watering it enough and they just never really picked back up. It looked like it was like a weeping fig when it wasn't. So I pruned it really hard. I cut it to here and I just wanted it to bush out. And since then it's bushed out really nicely. So it never had any of these side branches. And I just love it in this corner, especially when the sun comes through the windows in the morning. Just looks really nice. And this has had thrips once or twice, but never to an extent where it's damaged the leaves. I kind of catch it quick enough, and then I wipe them off, or I'll put this in the bath and spray it down, and then spray it with SB. So it's always done pretty well. And I'll do some close-ups. I've got some really nice little succulents planted in the bottom, and some sempervivums, but the sempervivums are just stretching for the light, so they don't look very good. But the little sedum looks really pretty in there, and it's grown a lot. And then over here, let me move the camera slightly. So you can just see the variegation on this is so pretty, especially in the sunlight. And it's quite a common plant, but they just look so nice. And then down here, the Sempervivums are stretching, but the little succulents are doing really well. And then I've got these little pot hangers, a snail and a little hedgehog. And yeah, he's doing really well. He's got a brand new leaf coming through right there. It grows leaves really quickly, so it's always got a new leaf coming. Yeah, but he's doing really well. Okay, over here I have my collection of succulents and cacti, or half of my collection. Let's bring this chair around. Check that I'm going to be in frame. Yeah, it might just be in frame. So I'll just carry one at a time to the camera so that it's not showing the outside of my house. I've got one of my euphorbia obesas here. This is like, was this the first one I got or the second one I got? This might be the first one I got. Yeah, it is. And he's doing the same as he's always kind of done. He's got taller. He hasn't grown very much recently, but yeah, he's got taller and he looks just like a euphorbia obesa is supposed to look. But even through the winter, I still water this because it's in a really hot, sunny window. And he's loving life by the looks of it. He's had thrips once or twice, but he's not got any issues at the moment. You can see like the coloration on his skin, his surface. He's got a lot of browning, but if you go to like Kew Gardens or you go to any botanical gardens that have old varieties of these, that is what they look like, which is a shame, but you know. Next up, I've got this. Oh, I don't actually know the name of this one, but it's a variegated cactus. It's not a gymnocal something. I think it is actually gymnocal for sure. I don't know the full name. I hope that is in focus. But I got this on eBay because these got really popular on eBay recently, and I managed to get this for like, I want to say it was £10, but actually it was probably more closer to 15. I'm really happy with that, and I keep this watered as well. It's not in a drainage pot, but I just ensure that it fully dries out in between watering, and it does absolutely perfectly. I obviously just leave it for two to 3 weeks dry before watering it again, and he does really well. And you can tell when they need water because they kind of shrivel as well. They get quite a bit smaller. So I gave that a water 3 or 4 days ago, and he's plumped up nicely. So I love that one. I do need to dust it, but I might just have to wait until it's summer and then give it a good spray. Next up is my big Astrophytum. This one, I absolutely love this plant, and every time I look back at a picture of how small it was when I got it, it's always surprising, but he's got huge. Again, I think I said this before, but the potting mix I've used is mostly gravel and sand, and then maybe like between 5 and 10% organic matter. So I've just added a tiny bit of compost in there, and it absolutely loves it. And I let it dry in between watering every single time. And then when I do water it, I just give it, I don't know how to even measure, maybe like 2 or 3 egg cups worth of water. And it absolutely loves it. So he's doing good. Heavy, because the pot is full of sand. I've got this little tiny Echeveria. It's got mealybugs. This is my original one that got super tall, and then I just propped the top and put it back in the pot. So it's near enough the same size as it was when I first got it. But I just love that plant. I don't know why. I've always loved it. I just think it looks perfect in that pot as well. And I don't know how well you can see, but it's got a really purple underside. And it's just really pretty, but you can see the mealybugs in the center. I think you can. I don't know if it's focused or not. But I spray it relatively often, but they seem to just come back every time. Let me put that to one side so I can spray it. Otherwise, it's going to spread again. This windowsill is my mealybug windowsill. They never spread any further than this windowsill, but everything here fluctuates with its infestation, basically. Ignore these. I'm drying out some dandelion roots just because. And then in here, I've got a mixture of plants. God, I need to remember the names now. I've got a firestorm sedum. This is a, come on, it's going to come to me. It'll come to me in a minute. Stapelia. And that's doing really well. it keeps doing this thing where it starts to grow and then the growth kind of dies. I haven't really changed the watering. I'd say the only thing that I did do is I sprayed it with loads of SB, and it didn't. I don't think it liked that, but I had to because it actually had thrips. So I just kept spraying it down. And then there's some Echeverries in here and some fossils. Yeah, but it's doing really well. I'll get a close up because there's some really detailed little plants in and out there, and it looks really, really nice. But he's getting tall. Hopefully, I'll get a flower off of this year because the Stapelia flowers are insane. They look so cool. Okay. Next up, my euphorbia. No, my Adenium obesa. So the baobab Adenium. All of his leaves have died off. He did this last year as well, so I'm not concerned. And he's really firm and rigid. But he had mealybugs quite bad. So I sprayed it with loads of SB, and I got cotton buds in there and picked them all out. I'm just taking some of these leaves off whilst I do it because it looks nicer. There is actually some leaves coming in, so I might start to give it a bit of water again because this, like I said, this windowsill gets really hot, even in February, making a mess. But how cool is that? I really want to plant it into like a little display that looks like a little natural bit of landscape rather than a pot, but I want to get confident with the maintenance before I mess around with it too much. But yeah, there's still some fluff on here from the cotton buds that I used, but I don't actually see any. Oh, is that mealy? Yeah, okay. There's a tiny bit of mealybug going on still, but how cool is that? Baobab tree is like my long life favorite tree. And now I've got a miniature version, which is wicked. But he's doing all right. I need to get on top of like the watering and when to start watering again because I'm not confident with that, and I haven't watered this in a month or two. So he's just still in his nursery pot, which we'll say his name actually. Adenium Ansu Baobab. Yeah. So that is wicked. I love that plant. I can't wait to. I want to try and get it to flower this year, but I might repot it and just get a bit more confident with the watering before I expect too much from it. Okay, let's put you there. Oh, so my Lithops situation. Oh, I've avoided looking at this because I knew what was happening with the hair. I really don't understand Lithops. I understand them to an extent, but it's like every 10 days one of them will just shrivel and disappear. You can see, and now I've only got like 10 left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I've got 8 left. I'm not too worried about these. I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing with them. Actually, no, maybe I should. I couldn't even tell you what I am doing with them. So I went to one of the cacti and succulent shows, and there was a guy there that had his whole stall was just Lithops, and he said that he doesn't listen to the online stuff where it says only water them this point, this point, this point. He said just when they start to shrivel, water them, and just stick to that rule, and that works for him. I tried to stick to that. I can't say I've religiously stuck to that, but I've done that a fair few times, and they reacted really well, but then for some reason they just shriveled off like a long while after. So it's not like I water it and then they shrivel. It's I water it, they plump up, then like a month after that they kind of shrivel off. But how cool is that pot as well, by the way? It's a really cool bonsai pot. So that's them. They're doing all right. To be fair, I'm surprised that I've got that many left still because I was not confident with their care. On the point of Lithops, let's show you these other two. This one's not called a Lithop, this is called something else. I'm just wiping the dust off. And there's a hair. Oh no, that's a bit of like glue. But this, oh no, it looks hairy in the sun. It's just dusty. I don't remember the name of this. I'll put it on screen if I remember. But look how cute that is. It's like a little love heart Lithop. I don't know how well you can see that. But he's just starting to split open, so he's growing some new leaves on the inside. and that is the only one that I've actually been able to keep successfully, and he's just starting to shrivel on the sides, but I think that's because he's got a new one coming out, but I'll do a bit of reading and check. Then I did buy this other Lithop at the same time from this stall, and this just looks terrible. It's actually, I'll give it a water, and if it fails, I'll throw it away. Compost it. But it was a really pretty colour, like a peachy colour, but now he's, half of him shriveled, half of him is shriveling, and I've kind of been ignoring it, but because I watered it, it was shriveled like this. It was shriveled a little less than this. I gave it a good water, and it never perked up. It just stayed shriveled, so I don't know what's going on with him, but I'll try again. So that's him, and then next to him, I bought this at the same show. I think I did put a video up. Oh, he's dusty as well. We just had the living room like redone, and it was like all sanded down and plastered and everything, so there's just dust kind of collected in all of my plants. This is an Agave Paria cream spike, and I just love the color on that. I can't wait for him to get a little bit bigger. I will put it into a nicer pot. Yeah, but it's such a pretty color. I'll put it in a nicer pot so that it looks nicer. And I'll probably put this out in the greenhouse over the summer, or outside over the summer, just so that it gets a bit more growth. But I love that. He's actually, I think he's grown a bit. I'll have to look at the old video, because that spike coming through is looking a little bit bigger than what I remember, which would make sense. Right, next up, I'll grab this with 2 hands. I have this mixed planter that I made. This has just got a mixture of plants. I've got a Haworthia here, Sansevieria, Star Canary, Echeverias? Yes. 2 Echeverias, and then there is, I believe this is called a burrow's tail. I don't know the the Latin name, but this has done so well. I just put this together because I had too many single pot plants, so I just put loads in one pot so that it takes up less space, and it just looks really pretty. I'm really happy with it. I can't believe how tall this Haworthia is growing as well, but it's really, really nice. So I got these 3 plants for Christmas 2 years ago, and then this I've had forever, and then this we did a Halloween party one year, a couple of years ago, and we gave everyone little plants as like a gift. So this was one of the ones that I kept for myself. But he's doing so well. It just looks really pretty, and we just have this like on the table when we have dinners and stuff, and it just looks really pretty. So I'm really happy with that. I hope you can see it properly. But it's really nice. Really, always does really well. Okay, there's a couple more plants here. I have one aeonium. This has been in the garden, in the greenhouse, and it did have mealybugs, but no, actually I don't see any, which is really weird. Oh no, there's a couple. Yeah, there's a couple. I don't know the name of this aeonium. It's one of the more common varieties. I just bought it as a tiny, like 6 centimeter pot, and he's doing all right. He's doing better now that I've brought him inside. They don't do too well in unheated greenhouses. I think some varieties can survive, but this one, I just wanted to bring it in because I saw when I went to the Cacti and Succulent Society event, I saw quite a mature version of this, and it looked incredible. It looked like a bush of roses, like the rosettes of the growth points. It just looked incredible. So I'm going to try and sort out the mealybugs on this one and hope that they go, because I think aeoniums are pretty easy to keep once you've got the pests under control, and once you know the watering, they just don't want to be overwatered, and you just need to be careful of the frost. So yeah, he's doing good. And then I've got 2 more. This guy's has always looked very wonky and weird. This is the snowstorm. What did I say? Firestorm sedum. Did I say? I was about to say snowstorm aloe. Firestorm sedum. Is that a frip? Yes, there's a frip on there. Oh. Yep. Oh, dang I just hate thrips so much. They just cause so much stress. Because I've got quite a few plants now that are susceptible to thrips. Because at the point when I got thrips really bad in my old house, when I used to live with my parents, I just ended up having to get rid of so many plants because I just could not win the battle. Whereas now, when I moved to this house, I only kept plants that were not susceptible to thrips mostly, because I just could not deal with that again. And now I've just started getting comfortable and buying a lot of plants that are susceptible to thrips, like my Scheffleras. You'll see the other one. I've got a couple of Ficus. I've got a beautiful philodendron over there that I'll show you as well. And they just get ravaged by thrips. And that was an adult one as well that I just saw. So I thought this was the mealybug windowsill, but this must be the mealybug and thrip windowsill, or just the pest windowsill. But this is why my original one that Holly sent me as cuttings. So one of my friends and viewers on YouTube, she sent me these cuttings, and I'm so happy to still have this alive. And then I've propagated it into this pot as well. That's what all of those are. So if this does get too bad with thrips, which I don't think it will, because there's not really any thrip damage, it was just one thrip. I've still got those, so no stress. Okay, let's put you down. Ah, the agave got me. Right, now this is the plant in my collection that recently I've been, oh jeez, not looking at it because I'm like, if I look at it too closely, I know I'm going to throw it away, because it is covered in mealybugs, and it is, because of its growth habit, it's really hard to get in there. Like I spray it, and that does seem to deal with them a lot, but not enough, so they just end up coming back. What do I want to do with it? I don't know. I'm going to stand it here with the other one, because I do love the plant. I do love the plant. I won't get rid of it. I'll try and save it, but maybe I need to try like take it out of its pot and like soak it in SB or something, because SB works really well on mealybugs, because it's one of the pesticides that they don't get. What's the word? Like they can't form immunity to it because this is a contact pesticide, so it suffocates them. Because the soap in the spray just coats their whole body, and they breathe through their skin, so they can't breathe, and it just suffocates them. So they can't become immune to it. Whereas like bug clear and other chemical pesticides, they can form some sort of like immunity to it. So yeah, SB, and SB is organic. It's like an organic compound pesticide. So if you guys are not sure what to use, I would definitely recommend SB Invigorator. I say that whilst I'm showing you guys a plant where it hasn't really worked on, but if you do it properly, it will work really well. Okay, cool. Right, that's something I need to do. There you go. I'm creating a list of jobs to do. Okay, that's everything on this windowsill. I'll probably bring the other plants over because they're in the kitchen and it's a little bit messy. It's not messy really, but... Right, okay, next up I have the plants that were in the kitchen. So I'll show you, I've got them all laid out in front of me. This is the philodendron I was talking about. So this is it's just a Brazil, but look how incredible that looks. I mean, camera, but it's just grown so big. And the trick with this that I do is I spray it maybe once every 2 weeks with SB. So I just sit it in the bath and just absolutely drench it, and that just kind of ensures that nothing's going to, like no pests are going to really start getting going. I keep this as far away from the mealybugs as I can, and then I check it every now and again for thrips just to make sure I'm getting on top of any outbreak that there might be, because as you know, I have thrips in the house still, so that is really annoying. But he's looking all good so far, and you would know if you had thrips on a philodendron because the rusty color of the thrip damage just will spread like crazy. But that is beautiful. I absolutely love that. And I kind of don't want it to get too much bigger than that. I think that's such a good size right now. Okay, and then I've got my Pinguiculatina in the teapot. And that was one plant. It's now divided into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's like 5 growing points in there. She's doing all right. I just need to keep on top of watering her more often, but she's doing good. She had aphids a lot last year, but she's pulled through, and I don't see any aphids on there. There's a freaking frip on there. Oh my god. You'd think a carnivorous plant would not be able to get pests, especially one that's carnivorous on the foliage. Okay, it looks like there's just the one. So it might be where that one has just flown and then it's landed here. Okay. Oops. Water on the table. Okay. Deep breaths. We'll get through it. Right. Next up, I've got this little mixture of planting as well. This has got a spider web going all over it. But this is just, again, a mixture of small plants that I got in like 6 centimeter pots. So I've got this, I don't know the name of it, actually, to be honest. I've got this really cool guy. I've got this Echeveria, which is nice. One of the little succulents that I had in my ficus, I put a cutting in here. And then I've got this like moonstone succulent. I don't know, is it a Graptosedum? Maybe. But I love that. And this whole container has like barely grown since I put it all together. And it's been together like that for nearly maybe 6 months. So it's doing really well. I'm just really nervous about thrips now. Next up, so I last year got this idea that I wanted to start collecting like winter hardy cacti to have in my garden. So I went on Facebook, joined a couple of groups, started talking to people, and then this person sent me loads of cuttings off of his. I paid for them, but I just sent him a certain amount of money, and I said, I don't mind what you give me, just anything would be great. And he ended up sending me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 cuttings, which I was not expecting. I was expecting maybe 4 or 5. So I've potted them all up. I think I did a video on that, but they are all doing incredibly well. I just put about 3 to 4 in each pot for now, just to get them rooted. And then once they start growing a bit bigger, I'll start dividing them. But for now, I just want to keep them kind of controlled. But look how amazing they are. I love the super spiky Opuntia. So I do have the names of all of these. I won't go through them because it's going to take too long. But I've got all the names printed out onto labels, and they are all in their pots. So that when they do, even when hopefully they get big, I'll have their names. Because this man collects them, and he's got so many varieties. So I've got these like more upright varieties here with orange spikes looking really cool. I've got this one pot with this Opuntia in just on his own, and that is looking wicked. I did bring these in over the winter just to be safe, because he said that he keeps them in a frost-free greenhouse. But some of them can survive outside in the right conditions. I just didn't want to risk any of that because my glass house is not frost-free. There's a few more upright varieties there. Again, they've all got the labels. I don't know how well you can see it, but they're looking good. And then a couple more Opuntias in this pot. I just love the spiky Opuntias. Hate is a very strong word. I don't like the ones with the micro thorns because they just get in your skin and they're impossible to get out. Whereas at least with something like this, you can get some tweezers around it. But look how cool they are. I'm really hoping that they put on some growth this year, like grow some new pads. And then the last pot is here, just some mixed ones in there. Yeah, but one of them is already growing a new pad. It looks like a pad. Yeah, it's not a flower, but yeah, he's already got one growing. So really cool. Again, through the winter, I've been giving these a bit of water, just because I know how hot it gets in this kitchen, especially when they're in the window. It does get hot and they dry out, and they have gone shriveled. So I've kind of given them a bit of water. Like this Opuntia was super shriveled the other day, so I gave them some bottom water, and they've perked right back up. Okay, I think that is all of the plants. I've got one. Let me just grab it. So this isn't mine, this is my partner's, but we've got this string of pearls in this big vase. So the actual plant container is only about that deep. So it's not all full of soil, don't worry. We only recently got this, so I don't know how well it's going to do in this situation, but we're just going to do what we can and hopefully it will grow really well because it looks really, really cool. So that's that in a big vase. And I think that is everything. No, I haven't even shown you the windowsill in the living room. Okay, we're about halfway through. Right, so I was trying to figure out the best way to do this to show you the windowsill because I don't really want to show you out the front of my house because I feel like that's weird. So I'm probably just going to grab one plant at a time and hold it, and it's probably going to take a little while, but let's get started. So here I have another Aglonema. This variety, we use this a lot at where my work, so I decided to get a couple because they work really, really well. And yeah, it's just really it's a solid plant, and they do really well in low light. They do really well in bright light, so it's pretty good. I've still got it in its nursery pot. I haven't taken it out, but I just water the bottom slightly when it needs watering. But it's looking good. I don't know if you can hear that dog yapping. Right. Next up, this plant I've had for a lot of years, so you guys will recognize this for sure. This is my Sansevieria masoniana, or Victoria Whalefin. And originally it was just this leaf here, which is actually turning a little bit pale, like yellow, but it's come through with loads of new leaves. This is the biggest leaf. And actually I think since it put this leaf out, it's not grown a new leaf. And I think like generally speaking, they grow one leaf a year. And that was the last leaf it grew, and that was at least 3 years ago. I don't think it's put out any new leaves since then. But I'm gonna try and get it out of this pot at some point. It is like solidly in there, so I don't know if I'm gonna have to break the pot, but we'll see how it goes. I'll probably do that on camera one day. But I absolutely love this plant. I think some people love it, some people hate it. It's a bit like a brutalist because of how rigid, and it just looks like a brutal plant. But I love this one, and I've had it for probably around 5 years, honestly. I would be able to get the exact date that I got it because my friend got it for me, and it'll be in our chat. So I'd probably be able to find out the exact date, but I love it so much. I want to change the pot. That's the only thing I don't like. But he is a very, very good, solid plant. Ooh, no fuss. Doesn't require any special maintenance. Barely requires any maintenance, to be honest. Ooh, there's a bit of cobweb. This is another. I think I've got another one. Yeah, I've got another one as well. I've got 3 of these. Don't really know why. This is a Sansevieria Star Canary, and he's looking really good. I don't know what brings on the yellowing and what. God, it's so dusty because of the redecorating. I don't know what brings on the yellowing, whether it's like good light levels, which it probably is, but it's just started to get yellow again. These were green for the longest time. The other one's green, but he's just started to get his yellow back, and I think his new leaf is going to come in mostly yellow, I hope. And I've always just kept it in its nursery pot. I don't know why. I just have never put it into a different pot, but maybe I'll try and do that this year. So he's doing good. Next up, I've got my variegated Ceropedia woodii. This was huge up until 2 months ago when I got, no, probably not even 2 months, got rid of the shelving unit and I cut it right back to the surface. I cut it all back because it was like 2 meters long and there was no foliage until like the bottom 30 centimeters. So I just got rid of all of it, but it's regrowing really nicely. And It's slow. It's very slow, but actually there's a new stem coming through there as well. So there's like 1, 2, 3, 4 growth points. So it's probably not going to get very full very quickly, but I'm happy to wait. This was the plant I got this when it was very sought after. I got a little cutting on eBay for £5. So I've never actually bought a plant of it. I only bought the cutting, and it does really well. But these are super easy to take propagations from. If you just take the pair of leaves, cut it either side at about a centimetre either side, and then just bury the node under some sphagnum moss, and then wait about 6 weeks, and it will start growing. So that's called the butterfly technique because it's obviously two butterfly-looking wings. So I might potentially propagate that, but I've got a lot of plants going on at the moment, so I don't know that I'll propagate them anytime soon. Next up, I've got this little Dracaena here. This is just a really small one. It was going to be thrown away at work, so I decided I would rehome it. Sorry if you can hear the bin van out there. But yeah, he's doing really well. And I got this lovely pot from my brother and his girlfriend. I have multiple brothers, by the way. So when you hear about me talking about my brother, he doesn't have 3 wives and 2 girlfriends. I have 4 brothers. And one of them got me this pot, and it's such a lovely color. It's like Parma violet color. I love that so much. And it's a really nice, like, sandy texture as well. So yeah, he's just got that little Dracaena in there. I don't know the variety name. I should know, but I don't. No, I don't know. But yeah, he's doing really well. Well, I say he's doing well. I've had it for about a week. Yeah, no, not even a week. For like 4 or 5 days. Okay, next up, let's do this Sansevieria. This is just a bog standard Sansevieria, and he's doing really well. He's got a new growth coming here. He's just in this really nice pot. And I think what I wanted to achieve with this windowsill is just plants that are going to look solidly good all the time. I don't want anything that's like finicky. I don't want anything like as I say, I don't want a begonia or like a philodendron on there. I do have 3 begonias over there, but they're in a terrarium. I'll show you that in a minute. But I just want plants here that are just going to do really well, be solid performers, and quite low requirements. So I feel like a lot of my collection has kind of developed into plants that are very, very low maintenance, easy care, rather than trying to get all the like rare, finicky plants. And that's just what it is right now. It really evolves over the years. So I guarantee this time in 6 months, does that make any sense? I'm going to have a lot of plants that are finicky again. I definitely want to get begonias again. And especially now that we're coming into spring is on its way. There's going to be a lot more choices in the garden centres. Okay, next up, one of my absolute favourites, my little variegated astrophytum. Try and get a bit closer. He is looking really good. He's covered in dust, but all of my plants are at the moment. I've still been watering this through the winter because it gets super dry. Like I said, this is a hot, sunny window, even in the winter. So I've still been watering him maybe once every 4 weeks. And again, he's in a similar mix to my other astrophytum, where it's mostly gravel, sand, and this is Lacusapon. And then like between 5 and 10% organic matter. It actually looks like there's more organic matter in there because a lot of it is at the surface. But yeah, I feel very confident with my maintenance to astrophytums now, which I'm really happy about because they are beautiful little plants. Oh, I'll give it a dust. Or maybe I could get like a paintbrush over it or spray it actually. I'll probably spray it because then it's gonna. I'll spray it with SB just in case, as we found a couple of thrips in the house today, which is really panic inducing. Right, let's see what we've got next. We've got this Sansevieria cylindrica. This again is just a super staple solid plant that you really can't go wrong with. So, and like I said, that's what I want here. So really good. It actually needs water. I've not watered this in a very long time. But super bog standard, surprisingly expensive for what you'd think. Like even in IKEA, these are. I think it's. I'm thinking £12, but that sounds way too expensive. But yeah, not as cheap as you'd expect. But these are like really good growers, and when they get a bit more mature, they've got so many pretty like it's like a gradient of low foliage to super high foliage, and it just looks really nice. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that grow. I think what I want to do on this windowsill as well is like repeat some varieties. So rather than having one variety of each, which is what I've got right now, although I've got a couple of Sansevieria star canaries, I want multiples so that it just looks like I don't know, like it flows, like it looks like it's purposeful, rather than it looking like a bitty collection. I want it to look like more like a feature. That's the plan. I'm just going to check to see whether that is in frame. No, we're all good. Okay, next up, I have another lovely little agave. This is Agave deformis. Sounds a bit rude, but he looks fine to me. He's covered in dust again, but he's really covered in dust. He's got this really nice pale stripe. I'm not really going to be able to get the angle because all the gravel's going to fall. But I love the red spines around the edges. It's like the serrated teeth. Again, in the summer, like my agave that I've got in the kitchen, I'm going to put this outside in the summer just to get some good growth on it. This is a small growing variety anyway, so this will not get as big as your like agave, the Americana agave. They get huge. This one will not get anything like that. These stay relatively small. So I wasn't intending on keeping this indoors, but because I bought it in, it was like autumn or winter, I didn't want to put it outside, obviously. So he's actually doing pretty well. He was pretty dry the other day, so I gave him good water and he's plumped right up. And his new leaf is coming through quite vigorously. So cool. Love those. And that was, I think, £6. I think I paid for that. Ow. Okay. Next up, I have. Oh, he needs water. He really needs water. My other Sansevieria star canary. This was tiny when I first had this, and he's grown a lot. I kept it in a really dark place for a long time, so he's grown like a super long leaf. But that's what they do. That's what they seem to do in my care anyway. But yeah, he's really. I just need to get these planted into better pots so that they look nicer. What's next? It's getting harder and harder to grab. Right, this one, you guys would have seen this, I think, before, but this is my Ficus triangularis. And I did buy two and planted them together. Unfortunately, one has died. Oh, there you go. Oh, such a shame. But this one's not grown. Oh, he's got a mealy bug on him. Just the one. It's quite a plump one. It's just growing so slow. I'd actually go as far as to say maybe it's only grown 2 or 3 leaves since I've had it. And I've had it quite a while now, covered in dust. Maybe I'll put it down into a slightly smaller pot size now that there's only one of them. I love this plant. The plant doesn't love me. I'm going to keep going with it. Yeah, I'm not going to give up on it because it doesn't look bad. It's just when there was 2 of them in there, it was really full and it looked really good. But he'd look really cool in a small bonsai pot, but it would dry out way too quick. And these do drop their leaves relatively quickly when they're too dry. But yeah, that's my triangularis. I was going to say, if they do end up getting bigger ones of these in the garden centres near me, because I've never seen one in a garden centre, I bought this online, I would quite happily buy a bigger one, maybe only about that much bigger, but I just really like the look of them. But it doesn't seem to be enjoying what I'm doing to it. Maybe I'll change it out into a different pot and give it drainage. That would probably do it some good. And it'd be nice to take it out so I can check on its roots actually, so that I can see what's going on. But he's doing all right. He's just had mealy a little bit, but not a lot. Like there was only like one mealybug on there, which is odd. But anyway, he's doing. I love that pot. So even if he fails, the pot's really nice. Not empty. I mean, if there was a different plant in it. Anyway, oh, I got squished mealybug on my finger. Jesus, that's heavy. Right, next up, this is looking pretty poor right now because we just had the living room decorated. All my plants were on the kitchen table for ages, a couple of weeks, and I didn't water it in that time, so he kind of drooped. As you can see, I just pulled a leaf off. He's kind of lost a bit of his color. He's looking a bit translucent. But this was a rescue plant from over two years ago, roughly, and it was doing so well. And then recently, it's just really kind of declined. He doesn't have any pests. I'll check, but he doesn't have any pests. But this is an Aglonema Silver Bay. It's just looking rough. I think maybe I'll take him out of the sun because the other's doing really well in the lower light. So maybe he's getting a bit too much direct sun. But it's been a very solid performer for the longest time. And I'm going to keep him away. I'll put him over there. But he's doing all right. He's always been really good. He just looks a bit naff right now. Okay, next up. Right, I've got these two little aloe veras. These were propagations from one of my friends, and they've grown huge since I got them, and they've actually grown pups of their own. They were just individual pups, and now that one's got 2 pups, that one's got 3 pups. What is that? There's a frip. Is that a frip? Yep, it's a frip. Oh my god. It's just not where you want to be at the beginning of the year. It's just really weird that when I'm finding the frips, I'm only finding one at a time. Oh no, spoke too soon. There's a second one in there. Oh, it's so annoying. Oh god. It's just weird that I'm only finding adult frips. Because we deal with a lot of frips in work, and the majority of the time you get the juvenile frips, and that's when you kind of notice them. Whereas I've not seen a single juvenile frip, I'm only seeing adult frips. I think there's one right down in that little crack. Oh no, that could be a bit of dirt actually. And I'm not seeing any frip damage either, I'm just seeing the frips, which, okay, I think that's a good thing. Nothing. My tap has just started going, no idea why. See, I can see damage from a frip on this one, but I don't see any frips. Okay, well I need to keep an eye on those then. But those aloes are doing really well, especially this one. It's looking quite adult. I love aloes. Aloes was one of the first plants that I kind of kept. You guys would have seen my original aloe years ago. I had it in that big wooden planter with the other, like the Apuntia, and there was a blue cacti. I do still have that aloe. It's in the greenhouse, but he died down to the soil a couple of times. Where's the tap going? It's not the tap, it's the fish tank, which makes more sense. Right, next up, I have this Hoya. It's like in my mind, but I can't say it. What is it? It's not with me right now. But I took this as a propagation from a plant at work. and it grew really well, really quickly. Then I left it for months without watering it. It was on the brink of death, and then I started watering it again, and it's now doing pretty well. It's oh, what are you? There's a K in it, I'm sure. But he's looking pretty good. I want it to be fuller, and then I would designate it its own pot, because right now it looks like a propagation. But these are it's not an expensive plant, so I could, if I wanted to, buy one, but I don't want to. Maybe I'll just propagate it again. But yeah, there's him. He's in a bit of volcaponic, Lacusapon, and he's doing pretty well. He's heavy. I gave him a good water the other day, and he seems to be enjoying the sun he's getting. So he's doing good. Right, next up, I have my other Euphorbia obesa, which is much smaller, and this one actually flowered recently, and they've actually just dropped off recently. He had a flower for the longest time. I think he had two actually, and they create so much pollen on the flower. You can see the pollen still on him there, which was really cool. I don't know what I was expecting, but I wasn't necessarily expecting that. It's just really cute, and this one's not got any browning on it like my other one does. But this one hasn't had thrips. This one had a single mealybug when I bought it in the crown, but since then he's been pest free. I've not been watering this one as much as I should, because I'm just worried about overwatering it, but I could probably give him a bit of water today because he's super dry. But I just love that as his little tortoise shell. Oh, it's a lot more sturdy than it was. It was always very wobbly in there. So that's a good sign, but he's cool. I love him. Next up, right, next up is the other Schefflera that I was talking about. So this one is the yellower variety. Yeah, a lot yellower. And I got this the same time as the other one in B&Q. So I got two of them, and it came to roughly £20. And I never liked these before. Like, I always saw them in people's videos, and they referred to them as umbrella plants. And I don't know why, I just never liked them. But we grow them a lot at work, and they just do so well. It's such a robust plant, and they just look so smart on their own. So I decided I'd get a couple. Yeah, these you do have to be really careful because they get thrips like crazy, crazy. And if you overwater these, they just rot off so easily as well. So that, like this one being in the sunny window, he's going to do fine because he's going to dry out really quickly between watering. But yeah, he's doing really good. And like they do well if you underwater them, but if you underwater them too much, obviously they'll lose their lower leaves, and then you'll end up with just the leaves at the top, and that looks terrible to me. So I want to make sure I don't do that. So I gave him a good water yesterday. I love the pot. Look at the pot on that. It looks very like retro. That was from TK Maxx, and I'm sure it was like it was either $3.99 or like $4.99. But yeah, it was a really good price. I can't remember. I just remember it being a good price. I just love it. It looks really cool. I kind of don't want it to get too much bigger than that, to be honest, because I don't like them when they're just a long, leggy single stem. But I'm sure you could probably propagate it quite easily. What is that? God, I really need to go through and check all my plants for pests. I do check them like relatively regularly, but to be fair, I probably only check them for certain things. Like I wouldn't check this for mealybugs, even though that would be like standout obvious if it did have them. But I would just look at the new leaves on here to check for thrips, because the thrips do definitely prefer the younger foliage over the more mature foliage, because they want the soft tissue of the young foliage. So maybe that's where I'm going wrong. I need to check them a bit more in depth, but nothing on there. He's looking good. I mean, that's looking a bit suspicious. I can't get my finger in there. Cool, but I love that. Love that color. Again, like I said, like it's a super basic plant, but it's like a solid performer. Right, next up, I've just taken this off the windowsill. This is my new little greenhouse. My boyfriend got me this for Valentine's Day, which is well cool. Let me try and prop that up. And so what I've got in here at the moment is just some of my propagations from my prop box. So I actually filmed a video of my prop box about a month ago, and I just never uploaded it. I might still upload it. I don't know why I didn't. No, I uploaded it. I just never posted it. So it's there. If you guys do want to see it, let me know. But there's nothing really pushing me to upload it at the moment. What is with the angle? So this is just some of the stuff that I took out of that propagation box. So I have my Begonia Sumatra green, which he's doing all right. The new leaves obviously are a lot more acquainted to the brighter light. What's going on there? So they are getting their darker colors. So I'll probably cut off all of the old leaves once these new leaves open up a bit more. Can you see that properly? So he's doing good. There's another Sumatra green here, which is a little bit wet. But I already cut all the old leaves off of him, so he's just got his new leaves. I'm determined to keep get one of these to a good size before I let it die again. So he's doing well. I have here just one of the propagations of the Fittonia mosaic skeleton that Laura from Stories and Succulents got for me. So I still have, it's still alive. Oh no, it's a mealybug. Yeah, there was a mealybug on there. What is going on? Whoops. So yeah, he's still doing good. I'm giving it a lot more light now, so he's getting his, like, you can see his proper colors there, which is really pretty. The really like mustard yellowy green with the vibrant pink veins. I absolutely love that. So hopefully he's going to grow a lot better now that he's getting a bit more light. And then I have a Begonia Griffin, and this was the original plant was sent to me by Nick. I forgot what's the YouTube name? Glasshouse and Garden. Yeah. And this, I actually still have a propagation of the original, so I still have one. The original was long gone, but I'm really happy to still have one because they grow huge and they just grow really well. So very happy with that. And they're all just chilling in there, enjoying themselves. Let me turn you around. Yeah, and this little glass house is just going to keep the humidity up a bit more whilst they're transitioning from the humidity in the propagation box, whilst they're transitioning to the regular humidity. But to be fair with the begonias, I'm probably going to keep them in here anyway because it's got quite a nice height to it. I'll keep them in here for as long as I can. So really, this size terrarium is only going to hold 2 adult begonias, but we might not even get there. So let's just see where we go. But yeah, really cool. If you do want one of these, they're from IKEA. And I think he said it was around 20 quid, but really cool. And it's got I won't take the lid off, but the whole glass bit comes off of the bottom. And I think it's watertight. Yeah, it is watertight. So if you did want to, you could water the whole lot of it at once. I'm not doing that because my begonias are at different moisture levels right now. So like this begonia is soaking wet, whereas the griffin's pretty dry. So I'm just keeping the little water dishes in there individually. So I just water them all differently, which is an interesting way of making a job harder, but no, it's just the way it is right now. But yeah, I've got 2 more plants actually, which I'll show you now as well. Right, okay, so the last 2 plants, I've shown you everything else, I'm pretty sure, this is my, oh, it's got mealybugs. This is insane. I think maybe because it's getting warmer now, I'm watering them slightly more regularly, and that is just really bringing the mealybugs in, or like proliferating there, breeding. This is my Hoya macrophylla variegata, which has been on the struggle bus for such a long time now. to the point where if I was going to get rid of a plant, it would probably be this one, which is really annoying because it's one of my favorite plants, like ever. So what I need to do is change the pot and make it more practical to water, because this pot is one of those ones where it's got the tiny little dish on the bottom. So I only water a tiny bit at a time, and I feel like I'm not watering it enough. And he's not got any active growth coming in. He's covered in dust. It's just a bit embarrassing. But there's him. Oh, I'll do some maintenance to him today to get rid of those mealybugs. And it just looks ugly on those sticks as well. And then my last one, I've got this Asplenium parvati, which is doing pretty well. It just keeps getting the browning tips, where there's been 1 or 2 times that I've underwatered it. But other than that, he's doing all right. He's in an individual pot in here. Yeah. So he's doing all right. But maybe I'll move him off the windowsill because he's getting a lot of direct sun, which he doesn't seem to be hating, but is probably going to add to it drying out too quickly and the browning leaves. But, oh god. That is all of my plants. Every single one. The only thing I haven't shown you is the propagation box, but I've got a separate video on that I can publish if you guys want to see it. Yeah, cool. So I hope you enjoyed. There's a lot of my plants that I used to have that I don't have anymore, and it's really like I really noticed that all of my plants are relatively new. But yeah, cool. All right. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you enjoyed about the video and what you want to see in the future. And oh, I forgot I had that on. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in my next video.